Okay guys, welcome back. I was doing some wiring on the Rhino back here, just nothing really interesting worth filming, but that did bring me to remember a pretty good tech tip. So, today's tech tip, or this week's tech tip, I'm going to try to do a tech tip once a week. Hopefully it'll work out. But let's say you're going to make an electrical connection in a car, truck, anything, and it's going to be in an area that's going to get wet outside the vehicle. And generally what I like to do is use these two ways really that work well that I've found are these pre-connected or they have like the heat shrink already on them. I'll zoom in here so you can take a look. But yeah, basically these have the tubing already pre-shrunk on the connector, and then all you would do is splice your wire, put it in, crimp it, and then run your heat gun or your torch on there, and it'll seal it up from moisture. Works very good. But let's say you're in a situation where you run out of these, because it happens. So if that happens, I got a pretty good tip here. You could take just a regular butt splice connector, and I'll show you here what I do. It works very well. I've used this a few times. You take some dielectric grease. It could be any dielectric grease. They come in different brands at the parts store, whatever you could find. However, I do like to get these size tubes. They do sell like the bigger tubes, but I've had these for a long time. You don't really use that much. And what you do is you open this up, and you're just going to take the dielectric grease, put the tip in the connector right here, and squeeze just a little bit. And you'll see, I'll get a close-up of this, but you're basically just going to take the grease and fill this connector up. And you'll see it comes out the other side. And then you would just make your, cut back the insulation on your wire, stick it in, crimp it down, and as you crimp it down, that gel is going to get all around the wire. It's going to come out the ends, and you could even just, smear it back in there once it oozes out a little bit. And that's pretty much it. This grease, and honestly, I have used regular grease before, and regular grease will work. I don't know with, the properties of it or any technical stuff like that, but it does work, and basically all you're doing is sealing the moisture out. Because if you get moisture on the wire, eventually it's going to it gets like that green crustiness on there, and it's just not good. So you want to try to keep that out. It also will work on normal, connectors. Doesn't have to be butt splices. It'll work same thing. Put it in there, squeeze it out, splice your wire, crimp it. And then the other thing I would recommend is get a good quality pair of crimpers. There's like two flat metal ones that with the little threaded inserts, and then you put it on and you got to rotate it and peel it back, and then they work good for stripping the wire, but they don't work very good for crimping the wire. For crimping the wire, I like using these. You get a good solid crimp, and it'll never pull apart. And then the other way that I will make connections is, like for in the car, this is fine. You don't even need dielectric grease. It's not going to get wet. You can leave the little insulator on. But I like to either buy connectors without that insulator, or you could take this with your pliers and you can just pull it off. They come right off. And I'll take a piece of heat shrink tubing. I don't feel like digging it out, but take a piece of heat shrink tubing and put that on your wire, then put it in, crimp it down, slide your heat shrink over it, and then heat shrink it. It works good, but like I said, you're always going to leave the end, there's always going to be a little bit exposed. So, you know, inside the car, not a big deal. Outside of the car, a few years later, you're going to be cutting that wire back or having to redo the connection. Also, you could take this same grease, and if you're doing like a ground lug on a frame or anywhere, smear that all around, you know, clean your paint off, put a little dab of that on there, fasten your terminal to it, and then smear a little bit over it. That'll also keep it from corroding. Same thing with the butt splices. I have these butt splices that are just the splice, you know, no insulation on it at all. Same thing, crimp it down good, make sure it's tight, slide your heat shrink tubing over it, heat shrink it down, you're good. Those are like the two best ways I've found. I do have some of these connectors. I hate these things. These are like, shit, you know what, I don't even remember what they're called. I'll try to get a good picture. But basically you would take, you know, your two wires would come in, these tabs will fold over, and then you smush it down and it kind of just splits the wire inside. Yes, they work, but they're really hard to get waterproof, basically. Inside the car, probably be okay. I don't know. I just don't trust them that well. But I do have them. Sometimes you need them, so I have them. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Another thing I like to do is I built this little kit here out of an old tackle box, and I got all my connectors in here, and light bulbs, fuses, you know, your strippers, your power probe, good set of automatic wire strippers. These come in very handy, especially if you're trying to like get under the dash and you only got a little bit of wire to work with, and you can get these in there and just pow, hit the trigger, boom, they're stripped and they're ready for you to put your connectors on. They come in very handy. I don't use them too often, but they do come in handy. But yeah, I just figured I'd share that little tip with you guys and keep your wiring safe from the water, and you'll have a good strong connection, and that's it. Hopefully coming up soon, I'll have another video of maybe doing some work on the Rhino back here. I'm not sure. I mean, like, these are all little jobs that, you know, they take me 10 minutes, and if I was to record it, it would probably take me an hour to set everything up and get the right angles, and I just like getting things done. But who knows? Maybe I'll throw something. I'll come up with something. I do have some other work coming up on one of the bucket trucks at work. Maybe I'll try to get a video of that. That might be pretty interesting. I don't know. Let me know. Make a comment down below. Let me know what you think. All right?